Hi, it's Chris here again. In this video I will be discussing the new with Luminar 4.2 function of AI Augmented Sky, which allows you to put objects over the sky and only over the sky, and will mask them behind objects which cover the sky. So here we are in Luminar 4 with a boring image with a large sky area. To access AI Augmented Sky, you need to be in the Creative tab and to click on the AI Augmented Sky filter and then on Object Selection. Here you will see a drop-down menu with the 34 objects that Luminar 4 ships with. So we can click on an object, say Clouds 2, to move it around and resize it. As the original clouds are slightly out of focus, we can also defocus the new clouds to match. We can then click on the reset and add a new object if we want. It is in fact quite simple to change the objects in the drop-down menu. I discussed how to do this in my video about the sky replacement filter, and the principles are the same with AI Augmented Sky. I will put a link to that original video in the description below. To amend the objects in the AI Augmented Sky function, you need to go to the relevant folder. On a Windows machine, this is the C drive, Program Files, Skylum, Luminar 4, and then down to Profiles, and in there is a folder called SkySFX, which I assume stands for Sky Special Effects. In there are two subfolders called Alpha Blend and Screen. These contain all the objects. In Alpha Blend there's a series of PNGs with transparency, and in the Screen subfolder there's a series of JPEGs with a black background. So here we are back in Luminar 4, and you'll see when we go into Augmented Sky that I've removed all the objects and loaded my own blackbird picture. I can select this in the normal way, move it around, resize it, etc., just as if it was one of the original objects. In fact, this was a normal JPEG with a white background. I removed the background and saved the file as a PNG with transparency. If you do decide to change the list of augmenting sky objects, I strongly suggest you keep a copy of the original files and any new ones, so you can restore the defaults or restore your drop-down menu after a software upgrade. As you can see, I have on my E drive a folder called Luminar Assets, and in there is a folder of all the sky replacement images that come with the program, as well as copies of the AI Augmented Sky objects in the same two subfolders. The AI Augmented Sky files subfolder contains all the new objects I've been experimenting with. As I say, the program comes preloaded with 34 sky objects which show up in the drop-down menu. You can go up to about 40 objects without any problem, but beyond that the drop-down menu will go off the screen, but you can still scroll through the objects using the up and down arrow keys. So, what types of files can be used? Well, Photoshop PSD, TIFFs and SVG files are not recognized by the AI Augmented Sky function, so that basically leaves us with PNG and JPEG files. As you saw, the Alpha Blend subfolder contains PNGs with transparency, i.e. the background is transparent or completely see-through. And the Screen subfolder contains ordinary JPEGs with black backgrounds. Of course, a JPEG cannot support transparency, so its background has to be opaque. Of course, it is very unlikely that an object you would want to place in a sky will conform exactly to a square or rectangular shape that a JPEG file is conformed to, so there will inevitably be some background. The default background of a JPEG is white, so it'd be good if such a file could be used in the Augmented Sky function. And just to say that a PNG without transparency, i.e. an opaque background, works just like a JPEG file. Unfortunately, a standard JPEG with a white background does not work in AI Augmented Sky. In the case shown here, I am loading a standard JPEG with a white background from the Alpha Blend subfolder, and as you can see, the white background shows through and the whole of the sky area goes black. Not what we wanted. If instead we load the same image from the screen subfolder, although the sky is not affected, the image is very bright and the white background still shows through. But I think I may have come up with a solution based on the AI Augmented Sky subfolder names. Looking at the files in the Alpha Blend subfolder, it is obvious the software just loads the pixel content and ignores the transparency. In the screen subfolder, the software seems to load the image and automatically apply a screen blend mode, so the black background disappears and the image is very bright. So I got to wonder if this treatment was in fact based on the subfolder name. So if there was a subfolder called Multiply, would a multiply blend mode be applied to the images within it when loaded in the Augmented Sky function? The answer is yes. So a JPEG with a standard white background appears without the background, and the object within the image is simply a little darker, but it's quite serviceable. So let me demonstrate. Here we have a standard JPEG file with a white background open in Photoshop to show there's nothing special about it. So what we need to do is go to the Luminar 4 SkySFX folder in Program Files and create a new subfolder called Multiply with a capital M. We can then go and find that same Blackbird JPEG file and copy it into the Multiply subfolder and then restart Luminar 4. We can then go to the Creative tab, AI Augmented Sky, and load the Blackbird file, which you can see loads perfectly well with no white background showing. We can reduce the size of the image a bit and place it where we want. And then, in order to do a comparison, let's now load the same image as an image layer. But before loading the image, we need to check its dimensions, as Luminar 4 always stretches an image layer to the full size of the underlying layer. So here we see it's 1920 by 1200. So when the image is loaded, click on Layer Transform and reduce the size to the native file size. Once we've done that, you need to click on the padlock to restrain the image proportions before we resize it further and place it. Click Done and then apply the Multiply blend mode to the layer, and you'll see that the second image looks much the same as the AI Augmented Sky version. So this shows that the workaround does indeed work. I've had rather mixed results with trying names for other blend modes on subfolders. This example shows on the right an object with a white background loaded from AI Augmented Sky from a subfolder called Subtract, whilst on the left an image loaded as an image file and the Subtract blend mode applied to it looks rather different. So clearly Subtract blend mode has not been applied within the AI Augmented Sky function. And the same with the difference blend mode. The object in the sky on the right has been applied via AI Augmented Sky, and the object on the left as an image layer with the difference blend mode applied to it. But it does seem that this workaround is okay for the multiply blend mode. So hopefully this in-depth dive into the AI Augmented Sky object file management has been helpful. we have established that any object files you want to load into the Augmented Sky menu must either be transparent PNGs or JPEGs, or indeed PNGs with a black background. But if you have a JPEG file with a standard white background, then the multiply subfolder workaround allows those files to be used as well. I will shortly upload a part 2 video looking at other workarounds on AI Augmented Sky, and in particular what you can do using object images loaded as image layers. If anyone wants a video on how to make transparent PNGs or how to remove the background from JPEG files, please let me know. Thank you for watching. Please consider subscribing and clicking the like button. Many thanks.